Matt.
Hello. Hi. I'm Matt from Geeks of Color. Great to talk with you both today. Great watching the movie and seeing you guys in it, or hearing you guys in it. So my first question is, before working on The Tiger's Apprentice, what was your experience or what was your knowledge of the Chinese Zodiac, and did it play an important role in your life or in your culture?
Um, go ahead, Kheng. Yeah, you want to go
No,
first?
I was gonna say, would you like to go ahead, Brandon?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like for me, I'm a fourth generation Chinese American. So while I am pretty tapped in with my culture, I wouldn't say it's as prevalent as it was for a lot of my peers growing up. But my Chinese zodiac is definitely something that I was very aware of growing up. I'm born 1995, which is Year of the Pig, and
Same.
oh, nice. Yeah, I knew we had a lot in common. Um, but yeah, pigs are I grew up really, really just liking pigs. I collected like little pig figurines and like pig themed artwork because I was like, oh, that's my animal. So yeah, that's as much as I knew about the zodiac was just that pigs were loyal, they're fortunate. We are intelligent and we also enjoy indulging in food stuff like that. Pretty accurate, I would say.
It's a good
Um,
animal to be.
yeah, I like to eat, man. So that's
Every one of those. I'm sorry, carry on.
oh, I was gonna say, see, that's my experience with growing up with the Zodiacs.
Well, for me, Matt, I'm Singaporean Chinese, and the Chinese zodiac is very much a part of our lives. And
Mhm.
it is very much a part of how many things are done in Singapore when we ascertain how the next year is going to be, when we think about our health for the next year, when we meet a romantic partner that we might be interested in, when we are just about to start a new business. I know Singapore is such an urban, contemporary, and modern city, but many of these Asian traditions and cultures are still very lovingly held onto very
Mhm.
tightly by young people as well as older people. So in my family, there are three tiger women.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm a tiger and I'm born in 1963 and I'm a water tiger. And what that means is I'm very much fierce on the outside, but inside I'm water. I am like
Mhm.
soft and a pussycat. And I would say that's a very accurate description of myself. Both my niece and my daughter are also both born in the year of the tiger. And it's
Wow.
interesting because there is still a slight taboo about women that are born under the tiger sign because older Singaporean Chinese ladies, especially, would say, "Oh, your no man is ever going to want your daughter. Your daughter is going to be so fierce."
What?
Nowadays,
There's nothing wrong with being fierce.
I know. So I've
Ah,
heard a little bit of that in my own life, you know. But
Okay.
thankfully, nowadays, you know, as seen in Tiger's Apprentice, I think it's all about maximizing your strengths,
Mhm.
minimizing your weaknesses. And I think the wonderful, playful thing about having a Chinese zodiac is that it's very clear what each of the zodiac animals' strengths and weaknesses are. And it's just so fun to be able to
Mhm.
have this framework to, make decisions.
Yeah. And so obviously for both of you, you just mentioned how the zodiacs have impacted your lives, but like we see them all around. Like I'm not sure about in Singapore, but in America we see them everywhere, just kind of maybe on napkins or on the little placemats you go see at a
of
Chinese restaurant. But
course.
in culture and in pop culture, it's not really explored beyond that. I can only think of maybe two other animated properties that explore that: Kung Fu Panda and the Jackie Chan adventures back in the day.
That's it, I
Um,
think.
but what do you think it means to have a film now that your film that's exploring that for maybe a more recent modern audience?
Go ahead, Brandon.
I mean, I think it's really cool because there's so many different properties and so many different like pieces of work and creative art that talk about the Western zodiac, like like Scorpios, Capricorns, like that
Mm-hmm.
system of spirituality. But I think it's like not as explored and it's not that represented for the Chinese zodiac. So I think it's really exciting to be able to do a project that kind of introduces that idea and that concept to maybe a lot of Western audiences for the first time.
For me, I being Asian and coming from Asia, I love the idea of extending a conversation that is about many different cultures, and therefore I celebrate this. I feel that there is space for all sorts of conversations, all sorts of new knowledge, to deepen our experience about what it means to be diverse. And I think expanding the definitions of diversity is really where all the fun is, and it's where all the purpose is. It's no longer good enough to say that we are this particular skin color. I think what is interesting, purposeful, and meaningful to talk about is where do we come from? How have we changed? How will this impact our life from here on in? And therefore, even though Tiger's Apprentice may be an animated feature pitched at perhaps a younger generation, but it is still very valid, a conversation, especially because it goes out to younger people and
Mhm.
it comes from North America. I think, I think for me as an Asian, I find it fresh, and I want all of these conversations to be deeper, richer, more detailed.
Last question from me. Speaking of speaking to the younger audience, Brandon, your character Tom, a lot of the action in the movie comes because he kind of rejects part of his Chinese culture as an Asian American person. Have you experienced any of these things in either of your lives where the culture you find parts of the culture hard to accept? And what do you think this movie can tell kids today who are maybe struggling with that?
I had a pretty interesting upbringing being growing up in America. I'm from the San Gabriel Valley, which is the 626 is a very densely packed Chinese neighborhood. So for me, I never really felt like um I never felt like the minority, or I never felt like I had to struggle with my Chinese identity because everybody that I grew up with was Chinese. All of my best friends were Chinese. All of the events that I would attend were Chinese. So my experience was, because I was fourth generation, because I couldn't speak the language, my experience was like feeling very proud and very defensive almost. Like, no, like I am Chinese. Like, look at all these Chinese cultures that I celebrate and all this stuff that I participate in. So I felt myself more trying to um solidify and really cement my position as my own Chinese identity. So yeah, I felt like the opposite was for me. Like, instead of trying to kind of hide my identity, I was always trying to find ways that I could showcase and celebrate my identity.
For me, Matt, I think having an animated feature featuring the Chinese zodiac is is touching upon a philosophy on which actually the Chinese zodiac is based on, that I particularly want to share with younger people all over the world, not just from Asia, not just from North America. And that is that every single one of us have got good points and bad points. And if you are in Asia right now, many of the shopping malls will have predictions for 2024 for all the different years of the pig, tiger, dragon, you know, and it will all be on these, either these big posters, and it'll be outside these big shopping malls. And the interesting thing about the predictions are that they will tell you where it's not going to work as well and where it will work as well. I really do like that sort of very three-dimensional look at people and at life. That we don't have to sugarcoat everything into being, oh, everything is going to be a success. It is about how things are imperfect, and that's perfectly fine. And we must just try to be the best that we can. And just like what I said earlier, maximize our strengths, minimize our weaknesses, and carry on. And I think young people need to know that, to lessen the pressure on themselves, about being perfect. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It was really great talking to you.
And you have a
Thank you for
great
having us, Matt.
afternoon.